Amanda Seales takes on 20 black conservatives in viral debate. Now, this is a few weeks ago, maybe a week or two ago. I can't remember exactly. Went viral, a bunch of clips of her and her views. I guess you would consider her leftist or what she considered herself to be some type of revolutionary. But she went on to the Jubilee YouTube channel where they sit somebody down in the middle and they have these talking points they have at the beginning, 4 to 5 talking points. And then they debate them versus people who obviously have opposite opinions. This one, her versus the conservatives. A few of these video clips in particular went viral. And she seems like she's in the middle of a rebrand, possibly. Another one. Another rebrand. But I'm going to make sure that I'm going to go back to some of the other things that she said over the last couple of years and how she's beginning to contradict herself, unless you believe the idea that people change and grow. But I don't really believe that. I think people form their opinions over time, but people who have strong opinions typically don't change them with age. That's not normally how that goes, but we're going to get into it. Let's get to this. Hold on. All right. Amanda Seales takes on 20 black conservatives in viral debate. The comedian and cultural commentator recently appeared on Jubilee, a popular YouTube series to tackle topics ranging from immigration to the sport wars. They talked about hip hop and its influence, particularly conservatives, who the talking point normally is, hey, we have music we listen to that preaches or at least pushes gang violence, drug use, disrespect to women, yada, yada, yada. And these things are more impactful or negative to our community than anything a Caucasian can do, at least in the year 2025. Amanda Seales has never been one to back away from verbal sparring. Her latest appearance on Jubilee, a popular conversational YouTube show, is no exception. The actress, comedian, and cultural commentator recently took part of a debate in which she sat down with 20 black conservatives, speed dating style, to voice their views on everything from immigration to the makings of black culture. Unsurprisingly, it made for interesting internet fodder, with social media onlookers voicing their support for Seales' ability to clearly articulate what many of them feel about the topics. One of the main things that she said, I would say that, well, it was two, but one of them that blew up was this point right here. Amanda Seales calls out immigrants for undermining FBA experience. One ex-user said, I'm gonna play all these clips. She wrote in response to a clip of Amanda speaking about the Angolan American man, about the experience of black Americans in the United States. She ethered every so-called black conservative in the room. Black conservatives of today are not the same from yesteryears. Now, that point I agree with. The same way we can say the typical liberal or left-leaning person today isn't the same as they were in the 70s and 80s. It's just both sides, to me, have obviously went further to their respective sides as far as on the left, people went more left and the right wingers went farther right. They separated even more, which lead to more extreme views on a lot of things. One of the many standout moments includes Seales acknowledging the core difference between black immigrants and black Americans. As a daughter of an immigrant, I'm gonna play the video. I'm not even gonna read what she said. And I'm gonna go ahead and go straight to some of these clips. Before I get to the clips and discuss the talking points, I want to make sure we know that there's an Asian man that owns this YouTube channel, this show. Now, he doesn't just do this with black people. He's done this with pro-feminist, anti-feminist, pro-abortion, anti-abortion, all political ideologies you can think of. He's created this debate style format, which has been very successful over the last couple of years. So it's not nothing new. But the fact that we're having these intercommunal discussions once again on someone else's platform to be exploited for money, it should be tiring at this point. This is the type of stuff he's doing. Light skin and dark skin, black men and black women. This one was particularly nasty. The black man, black woman debate, because it kept changing the title. The first title I saw was, it had in parentheses, quotations, "I don't date black men." So apparently they were saying that's one of the things the women said to the man. And then I saw one, "Black men don't protect black women." They kept changing the title to get into the algorithm, obviously. Anything you think can light a fire or cause an argument, they used in the title. Hold on. But yeah, but that's expected at this point. But let's go ahead and get some of these videos. We'll start with this one here about hip hop and what this guy said in her response.
Look at rap. Look at what we're glorifying. Right. We're glorifying violence.
Who's we? Who's we? Who's
the black community? Who controls the black community?
Who controls the distribution of these sources of media?
And who takes it in? And who takes it in?
Listen, if you're okay, so let me put it in this context. If I have a company, right, and you guys are my employees, and I determine what you get to eat every day, that's also going to determine how you exist in this company, right? Like if you come to work and I say the only thing you can eat is processed foods and fried foods and you're not going to get to have the best vegetables, etc. What's that going to affect? Your health, that's going to affect your ability to operate, etc.
This point don't really work in the analogy she's using, because to say that the boss is forcing you to eat these bad foods is not the same thing as the music industry. There are people making music that's not as low vibrational as the others. But the point is you have to go look for it. It's the same thing with food. Now we know that food deserts exist in this country, but for most cities, you have to go look for the food that's actually good for you. The same way you got to look for any type of entertainment that's not negative. You have to go find it. Now you have to want to find it. Now that's on us, whether or not we want to find the music or the entertainment, the movies we watch, the things we ingest entertainment wise is up to us. Now what tends to be the most popular, obviously what's on the radio, is what the label want you to listen to. But that don't mean you have to go find it on your own. Because the same songs that's big on the radio are big on the streaming platforms where you have to go find it. So it's not really a good comparison.
This is how the United States operates. There's a lot of us that don't want to admit that as much as accountable as we want to be, all of our brains also don't operate the same way. Some of us are much more apt to be indoctrinated than others. That's a fact. There is a 1% of people that knows this. There's a whole show called Mad Men that's about advertising, etc. And if we don't acknowledge multiple things at the same time, then we simply cannot stop it. We can be as accountable as we want. I hope that if you're right, because I hope you're right, I wish that it was a situation where if black people could just be accountable, then nothing else would matter. But unfortunately, that hasn't been the case, because we have seen when we have Black Wall Street in Tulsa and we have Black Wall Street in Durham, that when we actually do hold our own and build our own communities, they will still come and run it down.
Look at rap.
That was a checkmate at the end. That's a fact. What up, Kiefer? Hopefully all has been good with you and the family. So she kind of did a good point in going against what he said there, and I agree for the most part. I didn't like the analogy there at the beginning, but we have to do this is why that lawsuit with Drake and UMG is one of the weirdest things, where there's no side to, if you're a person who's just indifferent to all of this and you don't care, there's no side to really root for, because you don't want to root for a corporation or a label like UMG, because we know they've done thousands of artists rotten and stole money, and we know what they've done to people. But also on the opposite end, if you allow a lawsuit like that to go forward and possibly win, it could cause harm to creative rights or creative liberties when it comes to making music. Now that could be possibly a good thing. You won't have to worry about labels allowing songs to come out of people dissing dead people. You won't have to worry about songs coming out of people or anything of that nature. But it also could be a thing used to stop you from critiquing public officials, whether it's politicians or entertainers. It could be a situation where it's a double-edged sword, where either way it could be a negative. Because if that lawsuit goes through, then the lawsuits from the parents of all these Chicago rappers' moms who passed away, the moms who have to hear their kids being dissed on songs, their sons' names being used in inflammatory ways, they may not have to hear that anymore. They can sue the label now for putting money behind music that is causing or fueling gang wars or turf wars in these neighborhoods. So it's a weird thing that there's really no right side to it. But let's go to this next one right here. This is the one that got people really angry.
Our resilience is happening now. I think growing, understanding the real problems, not going out and trying to protest against. You guys don't ever do this. KTS.
You
Dre,
guys don't ever do that.
KTS
Who is
Dre.
you guys?
Members of the black community that don't want to hold people accountable, especially black people. So KTS Dre was shot 60 times outside of Cook County, Chicago. How many BLM members came out? You earlier said BLM
Stop
is about
referring
police.
to me as you guys.
Okay, that's fine. So, for example, we had a really good example of this where it's not a police, because I remember you
Where
said...
Where are you from?
Where am I from? What do you mean by that? Like, what state am I from? Where was I born?
Where do you live right now?
I live in Florida. I was born in Angola, though. I was born in sub-Saharan Africa, okay?
Where did you grow up for most of your time?
In Maine. I lived in North America.
In Maine?
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind, this is Amanda Seales, who for the last couple years have been dismissive and disrespectful. Well, I'll just say on the opposite side of the ADOS FBA thing. She's been against the delineation cause, or whatever you want to call it, movement, lineage thing, whatever you want to call it. And now she's using the "who are you," which is, I said, the biggest question the last 3-4 years has become, who are you? Where are you from? That has been reintroduced to people. Before I even listen to what you say, who are you? Why am I listening to you? Because once I know where you're from, I'll get some idea of why you're saying the things you're saying. So the fact that he's an immigrant, parents from Angola, who grew up in Maine, like, come on. And I did see a picture of him standing next to that right-wing dude, Charlie Kirk. And I immediately saw people saying that, oh, he's about to replace Candace Owens. Candace Owens has burned a few bridges, and this may be her replacement.
And what is the population of black people in the town that you're from?
It's really extremely low, but I grew up around black people, and there was a black community where I lived.
And that black community that you lived in, did they teach you about black history in the United States?
I
Like,
learned black history.
Are your parents black American?
Yeah, my mom is black. My father is black.
No, I'm asking, were they born in the United States?
No, because I wasn't born there.
Oh, so you guys are all from Angola?
Yes, but again, like I told you earlier, right? In terms of people like KTS Dre that were shot, BLM doesn't come out for them. And I remember you earlier said,
think it's really
hold on, can I
important
please finish? You earlier said that BLM is worried about police, but when Daniel Penny choked out the man that we all know was causing violence on that subway train,
he was not causing violence.
He was threatening
people. Causing disruption is not causing violence.
He was threatening people.
Causing disruption is not causing violence.
And the people there helped him.
Is a threat violence? I mean, I guess you could say it is a crime to threaten somebody. A threat of violence is a crime.
Also, and we know that we helped them.
I don't know what that has to do with BLM. Random people on a train is not Black Lives Matter.
BLM showed up for that. They did.
Showed up for what?
BLM showed up threatening white people, saying that they were going to go get white people. Now they did.
BLM protested.
BLM New York.
BLM protested. Where did you get that from? You see,
BLM
your sources are not. You're not able to cite your sources. Please go sit down.
Yeah, that's the truth.
It's
you
not
can
the
try to
truth.
avoid it.
It's not the truth. It's not the. Nothing you say is actually the truth. Nothing. You're not even American. You're not even a Black American. As the daughter of an immigrant, it is imperative that Black people from other places understand the disparate difference that they exist.
Disparate difference. You hear that? Disparate difference.
Understand the disparate difference that they exist from Black people in the United States. It is not the same. Period. And ultimately, the best effort that we can do as a diaspora is to lead in understanding, not in judgment. So when I am talking to somebody from Sudan, from the Congo, from Angola, I am listening to understand their experience, not to undermine it. And I refuse to allow anybody from Grenada, from Angola, from any other place to come and try to undermine the experience of Black Americans.
Man, oh man. How much a few years change? Oh man. It's funny because just a few years ago, I remember her, speaking about Amanda Seales, being one of the most vocal people. Y'all remember that video from a couple years ago of that, I don't know, that white woman walking through New York to call out catcalling? The disrespect that women face on the streets. And she made sure to walk through a neighborhood that had quote unquote minorities in it, particularly Black men. And they painted that, they walked through the video for apparently 24 hours or all day. And the video was only an hour long. That's all they could find of people quote unquote harassing this woman. Well, Amanda Seales is one of the main people on television, waving the flag along with those Caucasian women, that this harassment towards women, this needs to be corrected, yada, yada, yada. And then very quickly, those Caucasian women said, yeah, this needs to be a criminal offense. that's what the white people do. When you do something they don't like, they make it a crime. And that's when the black women had to, step back. Men of Seales people had to step back. Like, whoa, we're not saying it should be criminalized. We just wanted it to be some type of social thing that we can just rah-rah about. I thought I had the video. I'm pretty sure I have the video of her on television, but I can't find it right now. So it's funny now to see her on this. She kind of she went from a very, very pro-feminist platform to being more pro-black-ish, militant. So now she's kind of going in between the Pan-African versus the respect for nationalities type thing. Hold on, let me make sure I don't have it. I don't think I got it. All right, whatever. So after she said that, and people started calling her out on what they believed was her rebrand herself, she went on Savvy Sav's show, where she has something to say about the conversation around the ADOS FBA stuff. She went and commented further on it with this here. Let me play this.
Well, here's one of the questions from Devotion Orange. Can you ask Amanda how she came to be a part of the reparations discussion without mentioning the ADOS movement?
The ADOS movement has been harassing me and attacking me for the past how many years? Telling me that I'm a coconut, that I need to go back to Grenada, telling me that I am not Black American, even though I am the descendant of chattel slavery in the United States, and that I literally, my great-great-great-grandmother's the birth certificate for her daughter is also signed by her slave owner. So it's like deeply insulting. And I just don't think that the conversation about reparations should be solely attached to being a descendant of slavery, because we know that Black people in the United States have suffered at the hands of racism and legislation and institutionalization of racism in more ways than one. So yes, there is reparations owed to American descendants of slavery. There are also reparations owed to individuals who were not able to get property and land and redlined out of those spaces. There is reparations owed to people. I believe there's reparations owed to the people who are still locked up right now on marijuana charges.
It's funny because this is now the platform of ADOS, where they say that reparations for slavery is for American descendants of slaves, but there needs to be repair for all Black people who had to go through, Jim Crow, redlining, all the other stuff. So that is she's now using, that is the same platform that particularly Yvette is using now.
In places where marijuana is no longer a criminal offense. And you have Ashley H and Ashley C with a marijuana dispensary, while, Tyree and Lateef are still doing time because of a 3 strikes law that Joe Biden helped to push. So, when it comes to ADOS, I think that there are certain members of the ADOS community who really are simply just saying, I am a descendant of American slavery. But when I see a lot of the mouthpieces of ADOS who really are at the forefront of the movement, it feels more exclusionary than inclusionary. And I don't think that is useful as a Pan-Africanist.
Well, I've interviewed some on the show. And there's places where I agree and there's places where I disagree. But one thing I will say, when I talk about reparations, I do make that distinction because of the legality and the debt that's owed. So that is one of the things that I do discuss on the show, is that reparations in the United States is owed to those who are the descendants. And that's based on the debt that is owed, that 40 acres and a mule. I just don't want people to confuse it with like racial injustice. But I also tell people I do believe that reparations are owed to Haiti from France. Like you said, you mentioned Britain. I believe that as well. But I think that when we look at the legality of it, we can't say.
I haven't argued that. I mean, I literally just said that.
Yeah, I think
she's very blunt. She can help it be very blunt. He said it's definitely a rebrand. I don't think it's going to work. She's still not well liked. Here's the crazy part, and I might y'all might disagree with me on this. Amanda Seales has the personality, unfortunately, that is not going to be well liked by a lot of people or some people. But sometimes the reason why is she has the language and stuff that if she decided to go behind the scenes and get behind certain causes and not try to be a talking head, she might have way more success in moving things forward. That's what I believe. I said the same thing about Yvette and Tone, where, for instance, when Yvette and Tone thing took off and I said, hey, when this thing grows, I keep saying this, there's going to be a personality that comes along that might be able to take it to the next level. you're going to have to be willing to take a step back. They didn't want to do that. That's their prerogative, whatever. But then we saw with Tariq, the second the FBA thing started taking off, he made sure to immediately say, I am not the leader. This is a lineage, yada, yada, yada. Now, he might have done that so that he don't have to take any responsibility for anything. He can't be held to account for anything that happens. He might have did that to wash his hands of it. But the fact that he was willing to even come public and say, I'm not the leader, this is not mine's, and anybody who can move this thing forward, do so. That's what I expected from other people. And I think people like Amanda Seales, they should be behind the scenes rather than in front of the camera. Craig said, first Candace Owens with the rebrand, now Amanda Seales, Caribbean women down bad. Candace Owens rebrand is weird because she said she didn't want to talk politics anymore. Same thing with Anthony Brian Logan, who was in that 20v1 versus Amanda Seales in that video. They said they don't want to talk politics no more because it's became so toxic, particularly him. Like, you can't talk politics without it being racial at this point. Even if you're that black conservative, let's be honest, most black conservatives who say, let's stop talking race, they typically, if you go to their YouTube channels, any type of platform they build, they typically focus on race a lot. Like, anytime they talk about black people, it's to correct them for being wrong about something. As Candace Owens is weird because she has probably the biggest platform, not the biggest, she has one of the larger platforms on the right-wing side of politics. But I feel like she's kind of looked at like nobody really want to touch her like that. Like, she's helped certain companies make money, but her views on Israel, her views on certain other things just make her, she don't fit perfectly into the right-wing thing because they're very pro-Israel, which is funny because they're Nazis. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Keeper says she still sounds crazy and obnoxious. Craig says, good to have you back. Do hope everything is fine. Thanks, man. Yeah, it's pretty hectic, but things are back on schedule. I didn't know if I was gonna go live today because my system was acting up. I was like, man, I might have to do something crazy and go live on like a midday because I don't want to wait till next weekend. I might have to go live on a midday, but I had to get it out today anyway. Thank y'all for coming through. Keeper says she's too full of herself. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's her. Maybe her knowledge, what she deems to be her knowledge and her being well read and educated comes off as arrogance, I guess. And I guess that's a problem for most people who are not just intelligent but well educated. They can come off as arrogant to people very quickly when they constantly correct you. Like even this last point she made right here, when the Sabby Sabs woman said her viewpoint, and then Amanda immediately said, I just said that. Like, I just said what you just said. It can come off as abrasive. It can come off as aggressive, but maybe it's not meant to be. It is what it is, though. So Amanda still ran. We'll see what happens with her in the political sphere. And like I said, that Jubilee channel, the fact that that Asian man, he put out the Amanda Seales video. I think it's at like over 3 million at this point, or close to 3 million. Then he put out a black man versus black woman video, the gender wars. And I'm like, why would you? Now I'm wondering, is it him doing this, or does he have a producer? Does he has? I'm pretty sure he has a team. So who thought it was a good idea to do that video? Because now it's obviously numbers at this point. You're looking for numbers. And why do those black people decide to? We know why, but it's not really a question that need to be answered. But why would you go on another platform to try and go viral again with the gender wars? Like, please stop. But anyway.